Hordes of Hunger is a survivors-like game currently available on Steam Early Access. I first previewed it back in May, and now 5 months and a wealth of updates later, I'm diving back in. A ton of content has been added, from an endless mode and story continuation to new weapons and abilities. But despite all the additions, the gameplay feels worse than it did at launch.
I'm glad you're here.
Sorry it took so long.
The basic idea is that you play as a character named Myra, fighting off huge crowds of bloodthirsty monsters. The core loop is familiar to this genre. You use powerful weapons, learn new skills, and try to stop the advancing horde. Like most survivors likes, you start each run with basic moves, then get random new powers by earning experience from enemies. The longer you play, the stronger you get. However, Hordes of Hunger makes a big change from the typical formula. There is no auto-attack system. You control everything from a third-person view, using a dash, a sidestep, a parry, and a jump slash to attack and defend. While having this much direct control sounds great, in reality, the whole experience turns into a massive, repetitive grind. It takes a ridiculously long time to fully upgrade your character, and the slow, boring progression makes the game feel absolutely no fun. I initially thought the game felt smooth and easy to play, but I cannot say that anymore. The enemies are now incredibly annoying. Too many of them have long-range attacks and complex multi-stage attack patterns, making even the mini-bosses a huge pain to deal with. The main issue is that the entire combat system feels clunky and punishing. The parry system is a perfect example. You have a tiny window to hit the button, but if you miss, it locks you into a 2-second recovery animation. When you're surrounded by a horde, that's basically a guaranteed death. The jump attack is also too slow. You can be killed quickly while you're committed to the move. The only strategy that truly works is just sticking to the basics, relying on your dash and sidestep while using light and heavy attacks.
What was that verse about?
The power-ups and abilities in Hordes of Hunger are also inconsistent. Some feel way too strong, while others are completely useless. Choosing simple passive upgrades like more attack speed or movement speed feels like a waste of a slot. The only builds that are worth taking are the active builds that focus on elemental damage, like lightning, fire, or holy magic. But even among those good choices, there is one clear winner: the vampire build. This strategy lets you heal yourself by dashing into and killing enemies, and it is easily the most viable build in the entire game. All the other options feel weak and ineffective. This problem is made even worse in the new Endless mode. The mode completely fails because the game offers no reliable way to heal unless you specifically choose the vampire build. This lack of healing, combined with enemies like the exploding ones that deal huge unavoidable damage, leads to very fast deaths. This forced dependence on one specific build and the constant damage simply doesn't work with the game's clunky third-person controls. To top it all off, the game is also overly repetitive, recycling the same bosses and objectives way too often. As I mentioned, the progression is agonizingly slow. It takes forever to get the weapon runes you need to upgrade your arsenal, and unlocking new weapons like axes and hammers takes an absurd amount of time. The slow pace is made even worse by the feathers system, which is the resource you use for permanent upgrades between runs. The cost for these upgrades goes up much faster than the rate at which you get the feathers. To actually feel powerful, you have to grind the game constantly to an insane degree. The reward for your time is completely broken, and it makes getting stronger feel like a chore. Ultimately, I simply didn't have fun. While the initial feeling of experimenting with abilities is enjoyable, the fun quickly fades. The experience is locked into the same sequence, the same repetitive maps, and the same atmosphere, with nothing ever truly changing. The game is, in general, underwhelming. What starts as a promising idea has completely fallen apart. Despite the mostly positive reviews on Steam, I just can't recommend Hordes of Hunger when there are much better alternatives available. A title like Megabonk, for example, gives you a better experience for a lower price. Until Hordes of Hunger gets some serious rebalancing and fixes to its mechanics, I see no reason to ever play it again.